Hello, everyone, and welcome to ROK Studios. I'm Stan Miller. I'm PR and Analyst Relations Manager for Rockwell Automation, the EMEA region, and I'm joined today by Steve Rackham. He is Group Technical Manager at Bradman Lake Group. Steve, welcome to the studio.
Thanks, Dan. It's good to be here.
Steve, today we're here to talk a little bit about designing future-proof packaging lines, modularity, sustainability, and uptime. This is a great topic. I can't wait to get into it. But before we do, could you tell me a little bit about your company?
So, yes, Bradman Lake is a privately owned UK company, produces packaging machinery, predominantly for the food, beverage, and pharmaceutical industry. We employ around 220 people, and around 10% of our workforce are apprentices. So we really believe in getting the apprentices through. And I myself was an apprentice. I've worked for Bradman Lake for 30 years now, so it's a great company. We were founded in 1948. We can deliver standalone machines, sort of case packing, cartoning, flow wrapping, right up to systems and whole production lines. When we bring more than one machine together, we call it integrated packaging technology. That's our sort of tagline for our business. We have a long history in the industry and we've seen many changes, but Bradman Lake have always embraced these and used them to develop innovative machines.
It's fantastic context. As a resident of the UK myself for several years, familiar with you guys and some of the work that you do, I've been really looking forward to this discussion. So let's get to it. Steve, first question for you. When you look at packaging operations today, what's changed over the last few years, and what's forcing manufacturers to rethink line design and their investment priorities?
So, Stan, I've broke this down into three key areas that we find are common amongst what we get asked for in today's packaging systems. So footprint, that's probably one of the biggest things these days. As space become a premium on manufacturing sites and increasing square footage or the energy to run it, the costs have surged. So our customers are now trying to find new ways to be able to have new packaging lines, but in the same space they have. So they're now trying to utilize where they had manual operations, so they might have had 3 or 4 people packaging boxes. They're now trying to fit an automation system in that area. And at Bradman Lake, we like to work with our customers and we can design bespoke machines to fit in these small spaces. So that's number one. Number two, flexibility. So the desire to have new or trending has found its way into packaging, believe it or not. So the manufacturers want to be able to have changing SKUs regularly between one and the other and being able to keep up with any new trends that people might want in their packaging to make selling products simpler. So we now are being tasked to build flexible machines that can run multiple SKUs very efficiently, and that will be future-proofed for whatever comes next on social media, for example. And thirdly, skill level. As the global economy has transformed and technology advances at a very fast rate, we have an aging population now. We find our customers are finding it difficult to get skilled operators. So now we've been trying to design machines that all operate around the same common platform. We use something called PackML. I won't go into too much details, but basically let's just say it's a common approach to how you start, stop a machine, that sort of thing. So operators, they can go to one machine, go to the other machine, and the operator is the same. So they familiarize themselves quickly with all our different products. And thirdly, they're guided through format changes ergonomically by an HMI or a tablet that checks the results of what they've done to ensure that when the machine starts up, it's going to just run and produce a good quality product at a good efficiency.
Steve, you've laid out some big mega trends there. Let's go a bit of a level deeper. The industry talks a lot about modularity. From a leadership perspective, what does a modular approach enable? Whether that's operationally or financially, and that older designs may have struggled with?
So in the past, we've found that packaging machines would be built for a specific task on a specific line. So, and due to the constraints of some of the mechanisms and some adjustments, you would find that we could adapt it for some flexibility, around the core operation of the machine. But if you wanted to build in a lot of flexibility. That would come at a massive cost, and also size. Again, going back to my previous point about footprint, it would really cause the customers an issue, our customers an issue, because they would have to allow all this space for something that they may never use. So we do things differently from most of the people in the market. Our machines are constructed in a modular way from common designs. So a customer can purchase a relatively low cost basic machine, and then maybe they only hand feed it at the time, and then it can move to a complete automated system by purchasing modules to add to it. We're currently just released a new machine called the iFlex, and this is a good example of how we're looking at this as something we need to do in the future. This machine can be very basic, or it can have modules added to it to enable it to run faster and more efficiently, depending on the needs and what the customer can afford to buy. At the end of the day, it's very, packaging is getting more expensive, and we have to try and find ways to make it efficient.
Steve, one of the megatrends that you mentioned, increasing SKUs, right? So high mix production can often create some friction between flexibility and efficiency. What are the best practices that you've seen for achieving both, especially around changeovers and downtime?
So with the manufacturer's desire to move away from dedicated machines to more, another term we hear now is flexible packaging systems. This is another sort of, buzz term that people are using now. So that brings new challenges, and probably the most difficult challenge is repeatability. How do we get the machine to do the same thing the same way, at efficient, make good product, but multiple different SKUs? Now, I've broke this down to three parts. So firstly, we use dedicated tooling on the critical areas of the machine that affect quality or performance. We use fixed tooling. So you have a dedicated tool for a dedicated job. So that's the first thing. Secondly, we remove the adjustments altogether, take them out of the operator's reach. We just say, okay, with the use of technology such as servo drives and things like that, we're independent cart technology, we'll use those to move things around on the machine, and therefore the operator doesn't have to worry about them. And thirdly, if we have to have an adjustment, put some sort of recording device on it, so digital indicator, some way that the setting can be accurately recorded and repeated the next time, so the operator can always make sure the size change goes 100% according to plan.
Got it. Steve, you mentioned some really interesting technologies in your last answer. Technology clearly plays an increasing role in how packaging lines are designed and operated. In your opinion, how do intelligent automation approaches, whether that's advanced motion systems, whether that's modular transport solutions, how does that support things like flexibility, scalability, and resilience in these packaging operations?
So I kind of feel that these two things are intrinsically linked. By that I mean the advancement in automation systems and the drive to have flexible and scalable machines. At Bradman Lake, we've been working with Rockwell for over 30 years now, and we've always been one of the first companies to try and test the new products, help you guys with the beta testing, and we're one of the first people to integrate eye track into a machine. So, but I feel this is a two-way street. We come to Rockwell and say these are the missing pieces from the automation world to do what we need, and you guys come up with the solution. We use them to make better machines, more efficient machines. Bradman Lake have recently released its new iFlex machine, and with the help of products such as Compact Logics, iTrack, Armor Kinetics, FT Optics, Point Max, we've been able to deliver a truly scalable and flexible machine that we think will move with the change in times of the packaging industry. And another point is Bradman Lake only use off-the-shelf Rockwell components, so we don't use anything special. Our customers are free to go and buy these components, so they're not tied into any sort of one specific company.
Got it. Steve, let's talk a little bit about sustainability. Sustainable packaging goals are accelerating, but performance expectations have not gone away. How are packaging teams balancing recyclable materials and waste reduction? How are they balancing that with quality and throughput?
Now, that's a very good question and very topical. We hear this all the time. We're definitely seeing people paying more attention to minimizing waste. Now, sometimes that is a simple thing. So it might be like, we'll help our customers to reduce the length of their box, or, take some plastic out of a package and replace it with something else. But coming on to recyclable materials, that's something that's a little bit more difficult for manufacturers, because a lot of their machinery they have often won't run recyclable materials. They're not. Sometimes if it's just like, so I'll give you an example. Like, we recently helped one of our customers. They produce lots of Easter eggs for the UK, and we helped them remove plastic and a small unrecyclable tray, and we've replaced it with a cardboard case that is now more secure, only one packaging to store, one packaging to buy, fully recyclable. So that's a good story. Some recyclable packaging is difficult though, because like recyclable materials like paper and monofilms, especially in flow wrapping, where high volume machines, you need to get the throughput needs to be high. But with recycled materials, you tend to have lots of issues with sealing. So that, like, the key points about sealing is like pressure, heat, and to get that balance of high. I think we covered the topic earlier a little bit. To get high output, but use recycled materials is a tricky thing, and that's why we're seeing not resistance to move towards it, but it's taking longer. And we're on the journey with our customers. Again, I'll reference back to our new iFlex machine. We're using a range of sealing technologies in there that are already, that machine's already enabled for recyclable materials. So people can buy that with the knowledge that when they're ready, that they can just move straight onto it. And even if they want to buy it now and then later, we've got a range of sealing modules which allows them to upgrade to recyclable materials so that they can meet their sustainability targets for the future.
Makes sense. Steve, last question for you. Looking ahead, what capabilities do you believe will be most important for packaging operations seeking to future-proof their investments over the next, let's say, 5 or even 10 years?
So I think we've covered quite a lot of things already about importance, but recyclable materials is definitely going to be one of those things. I mean, to the point where we've invested quite a lot of development and design into a new patented technology which we haven't released yet. No one knows about it. We're keeping it to ourselves for now, but it's a way of solving the issue of recyclable materials at high speed, high efficiency. So that's something we're looking into. The other thing, scalable solutions. Again, we covered it before to a certain extent, but machine manufacturers like Bradman Lake are going to have to prove to the end user that they can build a scalable machine that's truly scalable, that they can actually upgrade in the future. And security is another thing. With, in the past, packaging machines have sat in their own little world. They've been able to just exist, but now we want to connect more, do more, and with that comes the risk, cybersecurity, for example. So as well as a machine that's physically scalable for the future, the software and security has got to be scalable, so that when you decide you want to connect that to the outside world, that it's protected. And they're probably, so I'd say recyclable, sustainable materials, being able to run those, scalability, security. They're probably the 3 key things for the future.
Steve, this has been a great trends-focused interview. I really appreciate it, and you've really brought it to life with some tangible examples. Thank you so much for joining us in the studio today.
Thanks for having me, Stan.
Thank you for watching. If you'd like to learn more about industrial automation, digital transformation, visit rockwellautomation.com.